Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we will discover Chapter 7, the equity market and stock valuation. In the first part of today's lecture, let's first understand what is the nature of stock. So stock is a financial tool which is used by companies around the world in order to raise money from the public or investors. Well, if you own a share of stock, you can receive cash in two ways. The first way is through dividend. Imagine you are a firm and you earn a lot of money, you make a lot of profit, and as a member of a board of directors, you decide to spend 1% of the profit in order to pay your investor. And this amount of money paid to the investor are called dividends. The second way we earn money is by selling your shares. Let's say today you buy a share at the price of $100 and you decide to sell it after 2 years. And 2 years later, the price is becoming $120. So you make $20 in profit. So to round up, there are two ways to earn money from stock, either through dividends or through selling. Alright, let's take a look at this example. Just a reminder, no matter what kind of financial tools we are using, the concept of discounted cash flow always holds throughout the course, one of the most popular and widely used concepts around the world. Let's read the example together. So we have a stock from company A, and we are current at time 0, which means the current time. And we expect that after 1 year, it will pay a dividend of $2. And then 1 year later, a year after that, it will pay $2.1. So the timeline will basically look like this. This is our current time, after 1 year, and after 2 years. In the first year, it pays you $2. And in the second year, the stock pays $2.1. Also, at the year 2, the price of stock is $14.70. So the question is, how much are you willing to spend to buy the stock at year 0, which means the current time? Well, we just need to apply the concept of discounted cash flow. So the price at time 0 will be equal to, first of all, the dividend paid in year 1, which is $2. So 2 over 1 plus R, and the required return is 20%. So 1 plus 20%. Plus the dividend in year number 2, which is $2.1, divided by 1 plus 20% to the power of 2. And we also expect to sell our share after 2 years at the price of $14.7. So we also need to add $14.7 divided by 1 plus 20% to the power of 2. And the result of this calculation will be what we are willing to spend to buy the stock at the current time. Now that we have already understand the nature of stock through the example and also the theory I provided in the previous slide, we can now develop a general model to compute the price of a share. Let's make an assumption. Our assumption is that we own a share of company A and we will never sell the share. We will never sell it. So what's gonna be the stock price? Let's say if we are currently at time 0, which is the current time. So after 1 year, we will earn dividend of D1. Second year, we earn D2 dividend. Until year end, infinity, we earn dividend infinity. Using the concept of discounted cash flow, we can see that the price of a stock is totally dependent on the dividends. Therefore, the formula will be price 0 equal to D1 divided by 1 plus R plus D2 divided by 1 plus R to the power of 2 plus etc. until the infinity. 1 plus R to the power of infinity. So this is how we compute a price of a stock in the case where we know that we will never sell the share. There is another question here. So what if the dividend is constant and there's no growth at all? How can we compute the price of a share? So if you guys do the same thing, apply the concept of discounted cash flow, you can always come up with this formula that I have already written down here, which is D0 divided by 1 plus R plus etc until D0 divided by 1 plus R to the power of n. But actually, this infinity series is equal to D0 divided by R. And this is the final formula. Price in the case where dividend is constant is D0 divided by R. Well, people may ask, how come such a long calculation becoming short like this? To explain this, I would like to introduce you guys to the calculus concept, which is called the geometric sum in calculus class, of course. And according to this concept, people say that if you have a total of an infinite series, which look like this, A plus AR plus AR squared plus AR to the power of 3 until AR to the power of n, this total will always be equal to A divided by 1 minus R. So if I rewrite the original formula that I have already put down here, we can have something which also look like this. The price will always be equal to D0 divided by 1 plus R plus also D0 divided by 1 plus R. But now instead of putting the square outside of 1 plus R, I will times this with 1 divided by 1 plus R. And this one is actually the same with D0 divided by 1 plus R squared. I just separate it into two different sides, which look kind of like the geometric sum, isn't it? Until the last one, which is D0 divided by 1 plus R times D0, times 1 divided by 1 plus R to the power of n. So we assume that the D0 divided by 1 plus R is A. And 1 divided by 1 plus R is R in the geometric sum. We can shorten the formula much more shorter, and it will become D0 divided by 1 plus R and divided by 1 minus 1 divided by 1 plus R. This one is equal to D0 divided by R. So this is the way I use to find out the price of a share in the case where the dividend is constant and there is no growth. So what about now? What if the dividend grows at a fixed rate? What do I mean by a fixed rate? So let's say you buy a stock at the current time, and at the current time, the stock pay a dividend of $1. And the growth rate is 10%, which means every year the dividend will increase by 10%. So the dividend after 1 year will be equal to D0 times 1 plus G, which means it's equal to $1 times 1 plus 10%. So what is the dividend after 2 years? Well, it's easy. It's D1, right? Because it's increased by 10%. And D1 is equal to D0 times 1 plus G. So how can we get the D2 then? We times with another 1 plus G, which is 1 plus 10%. So if we apply the concept, we can come out with this formula, which is Dn. So the dividend after n years is equal to D0 times 1 plus G to the power of n. So this is a reason why when I first show you guys this part of the screen, I have already put a formula here, which look like this. But again, we can see a pattern here. We can see a pattern here. And what pattern am I talking about? Yes, that's right. It's the geometric sum. We see another geometric sum here. So I'm not going to explain again this calculus concept in details again, but by applying this concept, applying this calculus knowledge, the general formula is that the price of the stock at the current time is equal to D0 times 1 plus G divided by R minus G in the case where the dividend grows at a fixed rate. And because D0 times 1 plus G is equal to D1, so the final formula is P0 equal to D1 divided by R minus G. So please take a note, please take a look and be focused, be careful, because it's totally different here in the two cases. If the dividend is constant and no growth, it's D0 divided by R. But if the dividend grows at a fixed rate, it's D1 divided by R minus G. Please don't make a mistake between D1 and D0, because I know many people who already have made the mistake during exam and lose such a very regrettable point. So the last model to compute the price of a share I want to introduce to you guys is the case where there is a non-constant growth. And actually we have already experienced this in the first example and also the other example that I have introduced you guys in the nature of stock. And the general formula to compute a share price in the non-constant growth model is that the price at the current time is always equal to D1 divided by 1 plus R to the power of 1, which means D1 divided by 1 plus R, plus D2 divided by 1 plus R to the power of 2 until Dn divided by 1 plus R to the power of n. And if at year end you decide to sell the share, which means you're not going to hold it anymore, you pass it to another investor or pay it back to the company, you also receive the amount money by selling the share. And this amount money will also be discounted to the first year, which is the current time. So you also need to add price at time n divided by 1 plus R to the power of n. So this is the general formula to compute the price of a share in a non-constant growth model. Thank you everyone for attending today's lecture. I'm so happy to be your instructor. And to wrap up everything, I put the table 7.1 here as a reminder of what have we been through today. Again, thank you for listening.